Child sexual abuse is a critical problem in our society today. 1 out of every 4 girls and 1 out of every 10 boys are sexually abused before their 18th birthday. 90% of the abusers are usually known to the child, and most often, the children don't end up talking. Join me after the break as we look at these sexual predators and how they go about their business. Welcome back. Now, the greatest threat to our children is not from strangers out there. No, it's from people we know and trust. It could be an uncle, an aunt, a brother, a sister, a distant relative or cousin, a close family friend. It could even be the father or mother. Yes, you heard me. There are people we love, trust, and most often, people highly respected in the society. The sexual predator deliberately grooms the child by having a very close relationship with that child in order to slowly break any natural barrier that will be between them before the sexual abuse occurs. Now the question is, how do they go about this? There is every need for us parents to know how these sexual predators operate. First, they target the child. Now, most often, the predators target a child that they feel is actually very vulnerable. Sometimes they go for children that are lonely, children that their parents have no time for them, and they use this opportunity to slowly get into that child's life by providing that child with that thing they feel the child lacks. They get to provide these things for the child. Whatever it is they feel the child is lacking, if it's love, attention, they begin to provide it for that child. And they give that child the impression that they are the only ones who care about them, that their parents or his parents don't care as much as he or she does. Their sole aim is to make that child trust and love them. Next, by feeding this child with all that the child needs, feeding the child with all the child needs, gifts, attention, love, they have actually gained that child's trust, and that child begins to be comfortable with them. And what happens next? They begin to touch the child gradually, just to know how that child would react. Even before other adults, they get to ask for hugs, and the whole purpose of this is to find out how comfortable that child is with them. The next stage is to isolate the child. Now, once the sexual predator is able to get the child's love and attention and fill the child with all sorts of gifts, love, and whatever it is the child is lacking, the next thing is to isolate that child. The sexual predator will always look for an excuse, such as give the child a one-on-one coaching, take the child out for a ride, take the child out to a cinema or something. And he will do it so innocently that the family members, without even thinking twice, allow this person to take that child out. Of course, when the person has the opportunity to have that child alone, we know what's next. The sexual abuse occurs. He doesn't just stop there, or she doesn't just stop there. The next stage is to make sure he has complete and total control over that child. And how does this do this? He could use threats. He could do the blame game, make the child believe that it's all his or her fault, that this happened. Or he could also make the child believe that this is natural and let them make their own special secret, not to share with anybody. Sometimes it could be threats. For instance, a sexual abuser could threaten a child that if that child, for any reason, tells anybody that the family was going to die or something like that. And of course, at that age, as vulnerable as that child is, that child will forever remain quiet. Now, of course, sexually abused children and the sexual predator has a way of really getting to that child and making sure that that child's lips are sealed. The challenge here for us parents is how can we get to know when our children or when our child is being abused? First and foremost, as parents, we need to establish family values, make rules, and let our children know the limits with relating with an adult. Let that child be educated. Sexual education is very important from the parents. We need to educate our children and know that their body is sacred and teach them to learn to say no to adults. Tell them it's okay to say no to adults. Now, when you notice that a particular relative of yours or family friend of yours is always giving gifts and paying particular attention to your child, that's a red flag. You need to take a second look. And some people also, some of these predators, you find them even hugging the child, asking the child to sit on his or her laps, making some very funny gestures. And surprisingly, some mothers or some fathers or parents don't even see anything wrong with this. I mean, an uncle comes into the house and calls the child to come and sit on her lap, on his or her lap. I think we need to be very, very skeptical and keep an eye on that person, because these are the signs. I'm not saying it means entirely, it completely means that is what is going on, but then that's a red flag, and we need to take note of that. And most importantly, we need to teach our children to be able to say no when an uncle asks for a hug or when an aunt asks you to sit on her laps. We need to tell our children that they have every right to refuse, especially when they are not comfortable. Parents, as usual, we are actually at fault because we really don't have time to listen to our children. For us to be able to know what is going on with our child, we need to be sympathetic listeners. Some days can be very hectic, but that child may just have something he or she wants to tell you, whether verbally or non-verbally. We need to pay particular attention and learn to listen to our children when they want to tell us something. That child may just be struggling with something very important, so we need to learn as parents to see these signs and urge them to talk. Now, when we do get offers from families, we need to be very careful how we do it. Some people use this as an opportunity to get closer to your children. Most importantly, whether we're in need or not, and a family member is very, very useful to us, we need to make sure that that child or your child is not found alone, especially with the opposite sex. I'm not saying these days that we don't have female helps or aunts that sexually abuse their female child. We do have such happening these days, but we just need to be very, very careful about it. Most importantly, we as parents need to educate our children, give them sex education that is actually appropriate for their age, so that every point in time, the child knows that her body is meant for her or him alone. No other person has a right to touch your body. When a child is abused, there are agencies and organizations that have been established that will help that child overcome the abuse. But it's like the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. It is better for us parents to avoid the situation from happening by keeping our eyes peeled and being very watchful for these sexual predators. If you're yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do that. Click on the bell button for notifications. And if you have questions or comments that you would like to make on this topic or any other topic, please go to the comment section. Thank you.